Kia ora everyone, my name's Will and I'm currently on day 16 of a hunger strike to highlight the inadequacy of our government's response to this genocide. I've been getting a lot of attention because of the hunger strike that I'm on, which is great, but I wanted to use that attention to give Palestinian voices a platform to speak about what they think is important. So I've invited my two friends, Mohammed and Yasser, who are both Palestinian men, to have a chat about what they think is important. Yeah. So I'm on day 16 at the moment, and I'm feeling as though, well, I've started taking electrolytes and vitamins, as I was telling you before, which is what my doctor recommended. But I've been feeling quite guilty, to be honest, about taking these things, because I know now what it's like to not have enough vitamins and enough electrolytes in my body, and that's what thousands of people in Palestine need at the moment. Pregnant mothers, children who don't have enough nutrients in their body. But I really wanted to talk to you both, and Yasser, I know that you have two sisters over in Gaza at the moment, and you've lost 40 members of your family in 2 airstrikes. So I'd just like to hear you speak about what that's like, and anything about that you'd like to speak about.
First of all, thank you, Will, for this opportunity. It's my pleasure to be here and to talk to you and to Mr. Mohammed Abu. It's really devastating to have family in Gaza. I mean, I can't really explain my feeling, because it goes up and down, up and down. It's really inconsistent, because, you know, with the amount of atrocity, continuous bombing in Gaza for last 8 months, it's really hard. I mean, I don't know every day how I sleep and how I wake up thinking about my 2 sisters. I mean, each one of them got her own family. They've got 4 kids each, plus all other people in Palestine. I've got extended family, and everyone in Palestine and in Gaza especially is my family. So it's really hard with the footage that we are seeing day after day from Gaza, and because the Israeli occupation forces do crime after crime after crime. I mean, I don't remember in the history any army did that amount of war crime in just one, battle or one war. I mean, we shouldn't call it war. It's a genocide. It's more than that. So I can't remember in the history, even like whoever killed more people, World War II and so on, it's not up to that level. You know, when you think about the size of Gaza and how small it is, and the technology that Israel has, and the support from the US and Europe, it's really devastating. And beside that, myself and my brothers and sisters, we always try to keep connecting with my 2 sisters in Gaza. And as you know, and many knew, the communication is just terrible in Gaza, and Israel try always to cut the communication, to block, the image to come out of Gaza. So it's really horrific, and especially when you see the whole world just watching and waiting. Nobody does anything to stop that genocide, practically to stop that genocide. So,
and can you speak a bit about the long-term effects for your family, and how much this has changed their lives on the ground?
Yeah. So my family living in Rafah. So we are Rafah based. So when the war started, or let me say when the ground invasion started from the north, from Gaza, we knew from day one they're gonna reach to Rafah. So, and that's what Israel did exactly. So they started asking, or not asking, forcing people to move further south from Gaza city to Deir al-Balah, then Deir al-Balah to Khan Yunis, then to Rafah. And it was, for me and for my family, it was like if you are standing on the highway and seeing a truck in full speed coming towards you, and you can't go right or left. You're just waiting, to be killed, to be hit by that truck. You can't do anything, and you can see lots of people on the side just watching you. Nobody does anything. So it's really mixed feeling. And when we talk to our family over there, they try to tell us, don't worry, we have food, because they don't want us to be worried, especially my parents. So they don't want us to be worried about them, but we know the situation. We see the situation. We see the journalists and the normal people filming the rockets falling on schools, falling in hospitals, even the bakery, even the bakery. I mean, Israel attacking the bakery, which is any kind of living thing in Gaza. They just attack it. They have attacked, I mean, my sister's-in-law, he's a police officer, and he was responsible. He was in a police car, responsible to protect the truck aid inside Gaza. They have attacked him while he's protecting one truck aid. He has been killed, and there is a police in the car, and the safety on top of it, the siren, and they killed him while he's in there. I mean, what kind of crime they're doing? I don't know. Yeah.
Mohammed, I know that you lost your son in the mosque attacks.
Sure.
Would you be able to talk about what it's like being a Palestinian in New Zealand with the government behaving the way it is, and how you feel about that?
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me first to join you here. And God bless you for your stand with regard to the Palestinian cause, the just cause. If I to talk about the time when I lost my son, that is the 15th of March 2019, I have to say that we, as the victims of that atrocity, and also the parents or the families of the beloved ones that we lost, we were overwhelmed with the support at that time of the government as well as the good people of New Zealand. This is a good country. This is a great country for that. We felt we are thankful for being in and living in it. I'm sorry to say at this time, seeing what's happening in Gaza, which is, as has been stated by a political scientist, the World Authority, that it is actually ethnic cleansing what's happening. And ethnic cleansing is a war crime in the international law. And still our government, I have to say, is not doing what it should be doing in terms of standing for what's just in terms of the international law. We are not asking specials for the Palestinians. We are asking to just, I would say, follow the international law and implement it. And New Zealand has a good track record at the UN of standing for what's right. So why not now? I would say our government stands for what's right, which is clear cut. It's just like the sun in the middle of the sky. So I have to say that I am disappointed. And I see that our government can do better. And I love that they can come forward and do better for a just cause, that is the Palestinian cause, especially what's happening in Gaza. As my brother Yasser, people have lost in big numbers families in Gaza for no reason except that Israel is applying, I would say, ethnic cleansing. It's not a war that is equivalent. It's total destruction of Gaza. So I urge our government really to consider this just cause. And thank you for highlighting it.
I'd like to jump back again to you, Yasser, and ask you if there's any other stories or things you'd like to talk about to do with your family who are in Gaza at the moment and what they're going through.
Well, to be honest, yeah, there is lots of stories coming out of Gaza. 2 weeks ago, when Israeli occupation forces ground invade Rafah, they started from eastern Rafah, which is where my two sisters are living. So they have been forced to displace to Al-Mawasi, which is toward the sea, let's say in the western side of Rafah. So that was first displacement for them, and they forced to go there. Now they have built their own tent, you know, wood and plastic sheet and stuff like that. I mean, we try to talk to my sisters every day, but in a day I talk to one of my sisters and I ask her how you are feeling, how you are doing, and to be honest, it's really hard conversation to start with them. I mean, even asking them, how is your kids, and what do you feel, and what do you eat, it's a tough question, because I mean, what I'm asking about, I know the situation and everyone knew the situation. So it's really hard to pick the right word to ask them. But anyhow, they knew that, so they try always to, you know, to calm us and to, you know, try to make sure we are not worried about them. Anyhow, last time I talked to them before, so let's say a few days after they moved to Al-Mawasi, and she was happy. My sister was very happy. She said, finally today I managed to get a plastic sheet to put it in the ground inside the tent. So now we are not walking on the sand. We are not putting our, you know, we're not sitting on the sand. We have a plastic sheet on the ground. And I was like, I mean, no comment. I'm speechless about that. So yeah, and she's always telling us, we have food, don't worry, we have food. So that's one of the things that they you know, just small, tiny thing, but it's the minimum. I mean, it's the very minimum thing for every human being. The minimum human right, which we are missing now in Gaza, and it's human-made. It's not something by nature or by disaster. It's a human-made famine and a human-made disaster in Gaza.
I cannot imagine what that must be like to go through. I have two sisters myself, and if they were in this kind of situation, I don't know what I would be feeling. But imagining or allowing myself to imagine that that were the case does make me feel more close to people like you, and helps me to get a faint glimmer of what that must feel like. And when I imagine that it is my two sisters over there, I feel a desperation and confusion and a need to do something about it. So shall we move on to talking about what we think our government should be doing?
Before we move,
Yeah.
just let me tell you last thing. I mean, a few days ago, Israeli occupation force attacked Al-Mawasi area, where my two sisters are in. And when we heard that in the you know, news, the whole family was scary, and we're trying to call anyone over there, and there was no connection, no internet, no GSM, nothing, even like calls, not available at that time. After 4 hours, we were able to reach to some of our extended family. And somehow they took the phone and went to the tent of one of my sister, and they are all right. The attack was a few hundred meters away from them, and yeah, my sister told me, we have heard the bomb, we have seen people running out from there, we can see the fire, we can see everything. We're lucky it wasn't us, but we don't know when it will be us. And I guess that's the feeling of everyone in Gaza at the moment. They are seeing the atrocity, they are seeing people getting killed in front of them when they are together in in a school or in a hospital or even in a tent refugee camp or wherever they are. They have that feeling. Just imagine you're waiting to get killed. I don't know how people can live with that, and how they can even like get over that with the time. So yeah, anyhow, my two sisters are still alive. They are still in the same refugee camp.
That suspense must be, one of the most difficult things, to just be constantly waiting for the next airstrike. So, okay. Now, shall we move on to the New Zealand government's response and how you both feel about how Christopher Luxon and Winston Peters are responding to this genocide?
I believe, and I guess many of New Zealanders knew our moral standard as a New Zealanders, and we know what we expect and what to even request from the government. I mean, we have seen the government reacted for Afghani visa before. We have seen them reacted to Ukraine, which is really great. I mean, no one will disagree. It was a great movement from our government because it was based on the humanitarian need. I mean, it's not about the conflict that's going on in that area, but we just want to rescue people as much as we can, and which was great. Unfortunately, for this time in Gaza, the government just ignored what's going on in Gaza, and they haven't took the same standard that they have taken in the past for all of that previous conflict. And for me, I still think our government can do more and can correct their action toward Gaza. I mean, like you've got 3 demands, which is really fair demands for anyone to ask from here, from New Zealand. I understand we are a small country and we are far away from what's going on there, but again, we are part of the international community, and we can stand up for our moral and our values, and we should actually do that. I mean, nobody is asking New Zealand to go there with the military and do any kind of war, but at least we can stand up for the humanitarian side, and I think we can easily do that if the government can easily do that if they wanted.
I would say I'm 100% in accord with Brother Yasser that our government can do and should do better than the situation at this time, especially when we have seen great, I would say, acts that have been taken when the Ukraine crisis took place. In the Ukraine crisis, our government rightly did support the Ukrainian in New Zealand to bring their families to New Zealand, which is 100% a noble thing to do, but why not apply this across the board to the Gazans who are New Zealand citizens, who are Kiwis, and they have families that are in unbelievable situation. I mean, the situation in Gaza is beyond imagination, brother. Well, frankly speaking, I mean, whenever I open the news, I mean, BBC, Jazeera, whatever, you know, I can't just stand in front of the TV because what I see is unbelievable. As a human being, I can't stand it. And I'm sure, you know, New Zealand, the good Kiwis, you know, and our government is part of that, you know, and is the one responsible for acting, should act and should stand for what's right. And Palestinian cause is a just cause. God bless you, Will, for what you're doing, and for all the brothers and sisters in New Zealand, the Kiwis who come every Saturday, live there. You know, this is Saturday is, you know, a family time, and still they come in numbers, standing for calling for justice. We are not calling for favors. We are calling for justice, and New Zealand has been and should continue to stand for what's right. It's a just cause. It's according to the international law. It should be supported, and I urge our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Luxon, and the Foreign Affairs or the Minister Peters to really take, I would say, the same, I would say, acts that they have done for the Ukraine, and to stand for what's right. Thank you.
And I think, as Mohammed Abata said, if we break it down like those demands, you know, I mean, if we break it down and look at each demand that you will demanding, and I guess we have been calling for that as a Palestinian and as anyone who's standing for Palestine in the country. If we break it down, starting with, you know, funding UNRWA, I mean, the initiation for, you know, cutting that fund has been proven wrong. So what we are waiting for, Mr. Luxon? Lots of country has reinstated already that fund. I don't know what we are waiting for. The government was super fast to cut that fund, and now they know they were wrong. So they should rectify that, you know, in an urgent basis. But I don't know why it's not. That's one thing. Second thing, I mean, the Prime Minister and Peter Whitson was calling for the two-state solution, and they voted for Palestine to be part of the UN. But they haven't really recognized Palestine as a state, like other countries, Ireland, and I mean, we can do something. We can definitely, Mr. Luxon can definitely act on that basis. And this is what we are looking for. We are looking for our government standing on the right side of the history. I mean, they can recognize Palestine as a state and reinstate funding UNRWA. Yeah, and
in the ICJ case.
ICJ case. I mean, why they don't join South Africa in the ICJ case? I mean, that's very, very important. And first and foremost, why our government not condemning the Israeli atrocity and the war crime that we are seeing? It's just. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to imagine. Like, people cannot condemn what's going on in Gaza, and we should take it further. I mean, what's the Israeli ambassador doing in New Zealand? What he's doing? I mean, do we really need to have connection with a criminal country? Do we need to do that? I mean, as per ICJ, Netanyahu is a war criminal. So do we need still to have connection with those people and with that? I won't call it state, but do we still need to have that connection with them? I mean, we should expel the ambassador. We should close the embassy. And we should boycott any product from Israel and sanction.
We should also investigate Raycon, because this is a company in Auckland that the government knows about, and they know that there are huge question marks around Raycon. Raycon has stated themselves that they want to dominate the lucrative and expanding weapons, I'm paraphrasing, military positioning market. They need to investigate them. The New Zealand government and Mr. Luxon need to be more honest with us about what our troops are doing in the Red Sea, because Yemen is attacking Israeli shipping, which is providing weapons for Israel's genocide. So I can't make sense of why New Zealand is taking part in a United States-led military operation to attack a country that's trying to stop a genocide. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, there is no justification. I mean, what has been said about, the international trading and that stuff, it does not fit the purpose.
It doesn't. It's incoherent for them to say that they are protecting maritime security, but not protecting Palestinians from war crimes. That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Agree.
I actually received a text this morning through a reporter that Winston Peters' people had contacted. And that text said that UNRWA will be funded. So this is a very big win for us all, and the hunger strike as well, but this is a very big win that they have finally actually said that UNRWA will be funded. It's not an official quote yet, it's just a text from Winston Peters' people to a reporter who then sent it to me, but it's a very good sign. My question, however, is why it took Winston Peters so long to make this decision. Because I met with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Winston Peters' top advisors, and they made it clear to me that there was nothing stopping Winston Peters from making that announcement other than the fact that he had to read these reports.
Right.
But in my opinion, it sends a statement in itself, it sends a message that he was willing to consider these reports for such a long time, because that's him saying, do I think these are lies or do I not think these are lies? Winston Peters is not stupid.
No.
He knows that Israel's lies are lies, but he really took his time over that decision. And I will be asking him, phoning him, sending him emails and talking to him in person if he'll talk to me, and asking why it took him so long to make that decision. I'm very happy that he has made that decision.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have taken that long.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the question should be, it did not take him that long to stop funding UNRWA, but now when that allegation appears to be proven to be wrong, why it's taking that much of time? I mean, it just, they're not matching.
So is there anything that you think Labour or the Greens or anyone in opposition at the moment could be doing more of to oppose this genocide?
Yeah, so I think I've seen some MPs from Labour, from Green, from Maori, attending some of the rallies and speaking for Palestine, which is really great to see them standing, on the right side. But I believe they still can do more. They can definitely support more the Palestinians and calling on the government. I'm not very well known in politician and how things happening in the parliament, but I believe they still can do more and they can help the Palestinian cause, and because it's simply just cause. And I guess the other side of it, normal Kiwi, they can still speak about it. They can send letters to the government, and they can call them to do the demands that you will asking them to do. They can attend the rally and keep talking about it. I mean, because this has been happening for 8 months so far, and it's not gonna be stopped. I don't know how this gonna be stopped. Nobody know. And it seems Israel wanted to wipe out Gaza. I mean, the 1.5 million people in Rafah, they have attacked them in tent. What more they can do? It's very clear that ethnic cleansing and genocide happening. I mean, let's not forget one fundamental thing here. There is no electricity in Gaza for the past 8 months. No electricity, barely they get water. Just imagine you're living in a place where no power for 8 months. So I guess it's a message for everyone to stand up for Palestine. Do whatever you can do. Go to the rally, talk to your friend, educate people, send letters, do whatever you can. Thank you very much.
I would add my voice that the opposition actually have the privilege of pressurizing the government, bring this to the parliament floor and put the pressure on the government to act, because the opposition definitely have that leadership. So I would request that the Labour, especially the Labour and the other parties, I know the Maori Party and the Green Party have been actually standing strong, but the Labour, which is the biggest opposition party, hope that they will also add their voice. And especially it's a just cause that deserve the support. Yes.
Do either of you have a message that you would like to say to Christopher Luxon? What would you say to him?
Well, if you'd allow me to start, I would say, Honourable Prime Minister, please do what's right for New Zealand. And justice for Palestine is actually good for all the world. We want to have justice that is for all, not justice for few, and the law to be applied without discrimination. So I hope that with regard to the points that have been mentioned in this, I would say, conversation, to be taken on board. And if I would say, we would hope that the government, Prime Minister, would consider, I would say, special visas for the Gazans, the Kiwi Gazans here in New Zealand, to bring their families who are now in unbelievable situation to come to have a life in New Zealand. That's very important. UNRWA support, thanks for that, but maybe they can increase also the support, because the support now is far more needed than before. I mean, Gaza practically is all destroyed. There are no infrastructure there, and the situation is so hard. So even if New Zealand can give more support for these humanitarian. Thank you.
Mr. Luxon responded to the journalist who asked him about your hunger strike and your demand. He said he's very proud of what New Zealand has done so far, and he mentioned what they have done so far, which is good. I agree. I mean, they have been calling for peace in Gaza. They have been calling for so many things. But I guess it's time to act. I mean, you're calling for peace in Gaza. You're calling for two-state solution. But I guess you need to recognize Palestine as a state. If you are really calling for peace in that area, then you need really to recognize the Palestine state, to give the Palestinian their rights, their human rights. So they can go to the ICJ, they can do by themselves, request investigation for all war crime that's happening in Gaza. And that's our issue, as a Palestinian, that's our issue since 1948. Even before that, with Balfour Declaration, we have just been cancelled. It was a Palestine state, and with Balfour Declaration, we have been cancelled. They have taken our land and give it to someone else, and that's it. And come on, it wasn't empty, that land. It was for the people who are living there historically. So we have been cancelled, and I guess simply if New Zealand government wanted to be proud of their act, recognize Palestine as a state, and then condemn the Israeli acts and expel the ambassador. I mean, we can't really have a connection with a criminal, with people who commit a war crime in front of everyone. And even after the ICJ said there is a plausible genocide in Gaza, they are still committing war crime and doing more and more crimes. So I believe it's very important. I mean, grant visa is really good, and it will allow escape for few families, but it won't solve the issue in Gaza. I mean, the issue really need support of countries like New Zealand to be solved. I mean, we want the negotiation to be happen. We want everyone to go home safely and stop that atrocity. But that can't happen unless people stand up for people in Gaza and be at the right side of the history.
I would like to add one more, I would say, point with regard to what I would like the Prime Minister to take into consideration. That is the health of Brother Will and the well-being of Brother Will. I mean, you have, let's see, done something that is so noble to stand for what's right and do a hunger strike for 16 days now. And still, I understand the Prime Minister and his office did not even contact you to talk to you and to see your, I would say, demands that you are standing for. I hope that the Prime Minister office would immediately take action and talk to you about your, I would say, what you are asking the government to do, and come to a dialogue with you with regard to it, because I really worried about your health, frankly speaking. And frankly speaking, I mean, I would like this issue to be resolved with no delay, because your health is so important for us. You're such a noble person to come and stand for a cause that is not, I would say, I mean, you are a Kiwi in New Zealand, far away from Palestine, but still because you have this good conscious, good human being, I would say, nature, you stand for what's right, and God bless you all over the world who are like you. But still, the government should care about your well-being, and I hope they will take action and do something immediately about that. Because we care about you not being hurt. And I know 16 days of hunger strike is so difficult. Yeah. Well,
Thank you for saying that. And it has been difficult for me. It has been extremely difficult on my body and my family as well. And I would love for the Prime Minister to have a conversation with me or to change their policies because of this hunger strike. Unfortunately, I don't think they do care about me, unfortunately.
Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. You are, I would say, doing it for a good cause, and we believe that the good will come out of it.
I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt, but somehow they're seeing the same images that we are.
I understand.
And are still inactive on this genocide. So I don't see why they would care about me if they don't care about the Palestinian people who are undergoing this siege.
But for what's happening in Palestine, it's, I would say, not like what's happening for a person who's in Israel. They are required to care for you because they are our leaders. Our leaders should care about every Kiwi.
They're required to care about the Palestinians.
I understand. But I'm hoping that they will get this with no delay. And we send this message to them. Brother Will, what can we help? What can we do to help with your hunger strike?
Well, there's quite a few things that people can do actually to support the hunger strike. The first one is to sign the petition. We have a petition going, and the link is on my Instagram page in my bio. People can sign that petition. It's almost at 7,000 signatures. When it gets to 10,000 signatures, they'll really start to pay attention. There's a lot of articles in that petition about Raycon and and some quotes from Raycon. So if you would like to read more about that company and their ambitions in the weapons industry, go and read those articles. Phoning Parliament is a big one that we've been doing. The number, if I can remember correctly, is 0800 72 73 62 82. Call Parliament, ask to be put through to Winston Peters' office or Christopher Luxon's office. And then I would just encourage you to speak your mind or ask them basic questions about our policies. Why are our troops in the Red Sea? Are we at war with Yemen and you didn't tell us? Why haven't you granted the visas? Why haven't you expelled the Israeli ambassador? Why haven't you put sanctions on Israel? Why haven't you called on the United States to stop arming Israel? There are plenty of questions that people can ask. And a movement that we're starting now is something called Question Your MP. So question their integrity, question their morality, question their leadership, and then ask them again any one of those questions. But we are increasing the pressure by also having a schedule for people to actually be where MPs are coming and going, maybe from Parliament up in Poneke and Wellington, to question them on camera, because the more times our MPs are forced to defend their position or defend the indefensible and why our government is behaving the way it is, the more frustrated they'll become and hopefully the more likely they'll be to do more. So, but also I would encourage people to be creative in their own ways. People have some really good ideas as to how to put pressure on the government by being creative, writing songs, talking to people, especially talking to people who are on the fence about this issue. It's a bit of a waste of energy to talk to people who are on the other side of the fence, but people who are on the fence and not really sure or don't really know enough, have a good conversation with them, and then people on our side of the fence will grow.
Well, I just would like to say, well, when I heard about your hunger strike and the rally, when you announced that, I just remembered one thing, to be honest. I just remembered our prisoners who are in the prisons, in Israeli prisons. There are lots of people who
they died,
spend their life in the prison, 20 years, 30 years, even 40 and more. And some of them, they have been put in the prison without even a charge or a trial. And when situation become hard for them in the prison, it's already hard, and it's always hard, but sometimes they just humiliate them and, don't give them enough food or water, or even they take the sleeping bag or whatever they have. So what they do hunger strike. So you really reminded me on those brave people, and you are definitely brave like them. So they do hunger strike because that's the only thing that they have inside the prison. They have nothing to use. So they are saying, no, we will not eat, we will not have food, because we don't agree with what you are doing. And you really reminded me on that. They still drink water with salt, which is the minimum to stay longer and to object, for more and more time. And this is what they used to do. And we have lost many people in the prisons because of the hunger strike after a month or 40 days. So that's what came into my mind while I was in that rally. And I mean, I'm always thinking about your hunger strike and why you did that. I know you before, and we have been rallying together, working together, talking together. And yeah, I just remember, like, once I remember when we chant, by the million, by the billion, we are all Palestinian. And yeah, I think this is what you did. This is what you made me proud of you, to be honest. I'm glad there is people in New Zealand like you, Will, like our friend who climbed on top of the city council few weeks ago, who just, they put their health in danger, which we don't want, by the way. We don't want. But to just deliver the message, come on, government, you can't be that deaf. We've been rallying for 8 months. We have been calling on you. We have been asking you, sending letters, doing all that stuff. So I really received your message well. I mean, even if the government does not care about your demand or hunger strike, we care about it. And because we care about it, I want you to stop your hunger strike, because the last thing I want to have is you damaging your body or losing you. I mean, I've lost 40 members of my family in 2 airstrikes, so it's few seconds, and many of them still missing. We don't know if they are here or they are still alive or not. And we have lost more than 40,000 people in Gaza and more than 10,000 people under the rubble. We don't know if they are alive or not. So last thing for me I want is, losing someone like you. So yeah, I think my message to you, please stop that. And we know what you want, and you have touched us, and your message reached us as a Palestinians.
I fully, add my voice. Please, we don't want you to be hurt. And I know from my background as a biochemist that if you don't, take the right nourishment, then there could be irreversible damage happening in our body because of lack of food and because of starvation. In your case, you have done amazingly to bring, the attention of the cause to the world, more important to our locality here in New Zealand. And we don't want you to be hurt. So please, 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 for God's sake, terminate your hunger strike. And I hope that the government also will come forward and listen to you and see what is the demands that you are asking for and consider them. But we don't want you to be hurt. This is actually not just my message personally or my brother Yasser message personally, but the whole community here and even people in Gaza. They request you not continue with your hunger strike and then, God forbid, have your, physiology being affected to the point that it is irreversible. So please take that into consideration for us, and God bless you.
Thank you both for saying that. It means a lot to me that the message got through to you, and that you remind me of those brave people in prison. That's a very powerful thing to say, so thank you for saying that. And I will take that into consideration, what you've said.
Thank you.
Thank you both for coming here.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you,
God bless you.
Thank you.
So proud of you.